You need to get in the real estate market. Now, that means different things for different people, but the scope of this message is, I went back and did some digging today. The first house we ever bought was in 1999, and we bought it for $89,000. It's on a quarter of an acre. No, it was on a third of an acre in Oak Point, Texas, and we sold it 2 years later because we wanted to downsize and didn't feel like we could afford it. We wanted to lighten our load, so we sold the house and moved back into an apartment. Today, that house is worth $295,000. That's the comps for a property like that in that neighborhood. Second house we bought was in 2007, in February actually, and you might remember what happened to the housing market that next year. We bought that house for $220,000 and sold it in 2014. I think we made like 20 grand because the market dipped, and we sold it as soon as we were right-sided. And I think we profited $20,000 on it. That house sold last week for $475,000. That's all right. It sold last month for $475,000. We bought it for $220,000. It sold last month for $475,000. The next property that we bought is the home we live in today. We bought just as the market was starting to rebound in 2011 for $250,000. 5 bedrooms, 3.5 bath, 3,700 square feet. Today it would sell for over $700 as of the making of this video. We bought a rent house in 2017 with a partner for $220,000. As of the making of this video, we could sell that property as is today for $350,000. What's my point? My point is, if you are not in the housing market, you should be, for a myriad of reasons. But because of where we're located here in North Texas, the market is appreciating so rapidly. I don't want you to miss out on that appreciation. Now, I'm a real estate agent. I make my money helping people find and acquire houses, single-family residents. I make money helping people sell houses, but a big part of my mission is don't sell it. That's another point I want to make. Don't sell it. If you feel like you have to sell it, try to be creative about why that is. Now, if you're going to sell it and roll that into another property, you're really just transferring the asset to another address. But if you're selling it to pay off debt or to go on vacation, from a fiscal perspective, that's not a good idea in most cases. In most cases, you would be better served to save money for a down payment on your next home and then keep the one that you have today as a rental property. Now, that's going to turn some people off, the idea of someone living in your house and tearing it up, which that's what they do. Renters tear the house up. And if they're not, you're getting lucky. But in spite of that, tell you a quick story. The rental property that we have, we bought it 4 years ago. We've had the same tenants in that property the entire time. We've never raised the rent. We're undercharging for rent right now, about $500 a month. I'm just not that worried about it. Our cash flowing about $500 a month, just over $500 a month, and all that money goes into deferred maintenance. We just had a big hailstorm here in Texas, and it came through and destroyed the roof. So we're going to file an insurance claim. But guess what? That's not going to cost us any money out of pocket because we have a deferred maintenance account. We don't need the income today from that rental, so it just accumulates in that account. Every month, another $500 goes into that account. So when something tears up, you can pay for it. My point is taking advantage of the appreciation that we have in this market. It's an easy way to get into investing in real estate, whether you're living in the property or not. There are just so many ways that you can participate. I don't want you to miss out on that. Give that some thought. I had a guy tell me the other day, well, I'm saving money for a down payment. There are programs right now where if you'll buy in Dallas County, Tarrant County, Collin County, or Denton County, and you make under a certain threshold, you can get a zero down loan at 2.75% without buying down the points. You don't need to wait. In most cases, people are waiting on the sidelines, and you don't need to. You can make some adjustments today, get into a home as soon as possible. We don't have a crystal ball, but all indicators are showing that the market here is doing this. Now, would you rather buy here or here? Would you rather buy here or here? Would you rather buy here or here? If the market's going up, of course, if you can buy here, that's better than buying here. But if it's going up, buy. If Apple is trading at $250 a share, and all indicators were telling you that it was going to $300 a share by the end of the year, how many shares would you buy? The housing market is going up. Now, there's no guarantees, but everything that we're seeing is that it's doing this, and it's probably not going to do this. It's going to do this, and then it's going to do this. And when it levels out, it looks like this, but it's still going up. If you could buy that house that I mentioned, any of the houses that I mentioned earlier, the one in Little Elm that we bought for $89,000, if you could buy it today for the 1989 price or the 2022 price, what would you pick? But even at the 2022 price, it's still going up. If we kept that property, one of the dumbest things I ever did was sell that house. We'd have a fully paid for property in Little Elm, Texas, that we could rent minimum $1,500 a month, actually closer to $1,800 in that neighborhood. $1,800 a month, passive income coming in month after month after month. One of the dumbest financial decisions I ever made was selling that house. And I felt like at the time it was the right move, but in hindsight, I should have never sold it. The other house we bought in Lantana, $220,000, and it sold last month at the end of January 2022 for $475,000. We bought that house for $220,000. Knowing what I know today, I would still own that house. Someone else would be living in it. I would own it, and they would be paying me rent. And the rent that they pay would more than cover the mortgage payment and some extra that I could just put in a deferred maintenance account so that when the roof tears up or the dishwasher breaks or the door on the oven falls off, I've got money to pay for that. Don't sell it. If you are not in the game, if you're a first-time home buyer and you're not sure what to do, call a real estate agent. If you're in this area, call me, right? I don't need you to buy a house, but ask some questions. Figure out how can you get in the game and get in the game. If you're not saving $1,000 a month, why not? Well, most people don't have an extra $1,000 a month, but if you've got a mortgage and it's greatly, the value of the property is appreciating, that's built-in savings, and you're not doing anything extra. You're just living in the house, keeping it up. Man, what reason? Like, I would love to hear why people are choosing not to jump into this real estate market right now. Now, maybe your credit's in rough shape. Great. That's unfortunate. Hopefully you're taking proactive steps to fix that. But as cheap as money is to borrow right now, there are a lot of lenders out there that will take a risk so that you can get into the game, right? Depending on the numbers, I'll even loan you the money. Get in the game. Figure out how you can buy a house, move into it, live in it. It's good for the community. It's good for the neighborhood. It's good for you. And then start building your assets through residential real estate. And I'm kind of so-so on Grant Cardone. I think that he says a lot of really great things, right? And you can't argue with success. But, I hear him talk about what a terrible idea it is to own the house that you live in. That's just not been my experience. I invest in multifamily. In fact, we're about to close on our first deal on an 80-unit property in Florida. I am only able to do that because of the income and the wealth that I've been able to build by participating in real estate, right? And I mean as a consumer, not as a real estate agent, as a consumer. Do I think investing in multifamily is intelligent? Sure. I think that's a great play, but just get in the game. Don't worry about, well, I want to wait until I can invest in commercial, or I want to wait until I can invest in multifamily. Just get in the game and see your assets start to build. I heard somebody say it's not truly an asset unless it pays you an income. Like, if you're hearing that and that's causing you to not, it's causing you to continue to rent, and you might be surprised when you put pen to paper and actually look at the math. Maybe it's a better idea for you to own the property that you're in, even if you're paying a higher interest rate. Maybe you're a higher risk to a lending institution, and therefore they're going to charge you a higher interest rate. The interest rate on rentals is 100%. If you're renting right now, think of the property that you're renting. If it's an apartment or a house, and let's say you've lived there for 4 years. When you move out, how much of that do you get back? If you're lucky, you might get your security deposit back, but you're probably not going to see that either. Whereas at least if you own it and you're in a market that's appreciating, man, it kind of takes for itself. Last point, I've got a buyer that I started working with a year ago. We contracted on a new build through a builder, a national builder here locally, and the contract price on that property was $320,000. It took them over 13 months to finish, and we'll close next week. We contracted it for $320,000. The appraisal just came in at $428,000. They haven't even purchased the property yet. They haven't closed on the property yet, and the bank has already said they have $107,000 in equity. What are you waiting for? If you like this stuff, leave a comment. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so that you're alerted anytime new stuff comes out. I'd love to hear your reasons if you're not in the real estate game, why that is, and maybe we can figure out something that can help you out with that.